Hi, Amy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Things are crazy.
Are you at home or are you at Willow Tree? Well, I mean, I
We're at
guess Willow
home.
Tree is home, but
Yeah. No, we're still in Oakton. We're just like so much time is spent packing and life is kind of crazy right now. Our house echoes.
you're getting all your stuff out and moved. Is it all going to fit at Willow Tree?
Not the way Willow Tree is. We've always known we were going to need to build a garage. And
Uh-huh.
so we're in the process of getting that worked out. And in the back of the garage, we're going to build a big storage room. We just have a lot of storage at this house that we don't have up there.
Right. Yeah.
So, so we're going to build a big storage room in the back of it, and then we'll be good.
That's fun. Does anyone have any requests for today that you really want to make sure that we do? Nope. All right.
You always do a good job.
All right. Well, we'll get started. We're actually going to start on our bellies today. So lay down on your tummy if that can be comfortable for you. If not, then you can find a different position. Oh, and wow, that was crazy blurry. Let me tell you what props we've got. I've got a blanket. We'll use a rolled up blanket at some point, and I've got a couple of blocks. So if you have blocks, you'll be fine without them, but those are the things that I have. And we will start on our bellies. So go ahead, just make a pillow for your forehead with your hands. And let your neck be pretty symmetrical. And get the wiggles out that you need to. So you can just lay on your belly. And let your awareness come to your breath. And just feel that diaphragmatic breath. Your low ribs expanding out to the sides and up toward the ceiling. And letting your face relax. So today we're going to play with how things are connected. Specifically, we'll bring our awareness to the back fascial line of our body. So it starts with your plantar fascia at the bottom of your feet. Right, and your fascia wraps up your muscles. So this line goes up your heels and up the backs of your legs and takes some of the muscles of your calves. It takes your hamstrings and parts of your glutes and then your erector spinae muscles, which are right along your spine, the lower back. And they go up the center of your back, your neck, all the way up your skull and wrap around toward your eyebrows. So you can think of this connection from the soles of your feet all the way up the back line of your body, wrapping around your head to your eyebrows. Just want you to kind of bring some awareness to that. You can wiggle your toes and think of kind of activating the bottoms of your feet. And notice when you wiggle your feet what happens in your lower legs. Right? So your feet and lower legs are pretty intimately connected. You don't move your feet without moving your lower legs. And then push into your pubic bone. You can kind of point your toes and then lift your legs just a little bit. Just lift both legs. And notice as you lift both legs, right, the whole back of your legs engages, but your glutes need to be involved and also your lower back starts to come online. And then release that down, and just really, really subtly. So it's more just like pushing your pubic bone down and just floating the backs of your feet up off the floor. You can point those toes and then lower. And now try that with your feet flexed. So we're not lifting our legs up very high, your forehead staying on the floor. Flex through your feet and lift. Now this adds a little bit more tension in that line. You can think of that line as being like a rubber band, right? And now we've added that bend in our heels that will just bring a little more tension to it. So just with your feet flexed, push into your pubic bone and just let your feet and lower legs and maybe your knees float up off the floor. And just notice how that just brings a little more tension. And now try it again with your toes pointed. And now we'll bring our upper body online. So push into your pubic bone. Keep your hands right on your forehead. Lift your legs and then lift your forearms up off the floor and let the back of your neck be long. And then lower. And feel your lower back, mid back get involved. And see if you can find some length in the back of your neck. And we're just lifting and lowering, but just a tiny amount, just enough to turn things on so you start to feel aware of the connection from the soles of your feet all the way to your eyebrows. So you've got that pressure of your hands, your forehead on your hands, just at that end point of your eyebrows. Let's do that one or two more times, just really tiny, like hovering your forearms off the floor, hovering your feet off the floor. And we'll let our movement get a little bit bigger. Reach your arms out in front of you. And your thumbs are pointing up toward the ceiling. Bring your forehead back to the floor as much as it'll come. Push into your pubic bone, lift both legs, hover your face up off the floor. Lift your arms and just kind of find tiny swimmers moving your arms and legs. Let the back of your neck be long. And don't come so high that you're really straining your lower back, and see if you can get that whole back chain involved. Just swimmer, swimmer, swimmer for a couple more seconds. And then come on down. You can bring your arms kind of to a cactus and bring one cheek to the floor and relax. And just breathe there. Find that low rib breath. And then switch which cheek is on the floor for a couple of breaths. And then look forward, chin or forehead to the floor. Slide your hands back alongside the widest part of your chest. Ground your hands into the floor. Feel like you're pulling them back towards your feet as you lift your head and chest into a baby cobra and then lower. And you can play with the placement of your hands here, and we're just going to pulse up and down in our cobra. And notice, right, as you lift, you're kind of bringing slack into that rubber band that's going from your neck over your scalp to your eyebrows. But you're letting everything be involved. Kind of push into the tops of your feet. Just play with the movement of your hands. You don't have to come up high. Come up in a place that doesn't feel like it's crunching anything. And just take one or two more there. And then we'll make our way to hands and knees. Just push into your hands. Come into your hands and knees and just remember that line from your soles of your feet that wraps all the way up the back of your body. And find that cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your sitting bones, lift your gaze. Right, so here we're kind of shortening that line because we're finding some slack in it. So you can feel that. And now tuck your tailbone under, round your spine. You can tuck your chin. And here we're kind of tightening that line. And just cycle through both of those and see if you can, even just with your imagination, start to feel a little of that connection from the soles of your feet up the back of your neck, wrapping around toward your eyebrows. Let your breath be easy, but really think more about just feeling the connection there. And next time you round your spine, you can take your hips even back into a child's pose and feel even more probably of that tension because you're folding. And then come on up, push into your shins, let your belly drop and look forward. And move through those two a couple of times, or maybe a few. I guess a couple would just be two. Maybe do 3 or 4. And then bring your hips back towards your heels. Sit on your heels and just come up to kneeling. Reach your arms out in front of you, and we'll just do a little bit of wrist prep. Take fists with your um, thumbs kind of pacing the floor, and really draw your knuckles toward the floor, and then flex and extend your fingers. Just do that a couple of times. And then bring your hands to the floor. Just tuck your toes, and we'll come up to a standing forward fold. So just bring your heels toward the floor. Keep your knees pretty bent. And you can feel that back line here in your standing forward fold. Let your knees be pretty bent as you fold, but see if you can feel that line of tension from the soles of your feet, up the backs of your legs, your glutes, your back, wrapping over your head. And then soft knees. Come up to standing. Just roll yourself up and pause. And we're going to play with having our heels on a rolled blanket, or you could roll up part of your mat or have a rolled beach towel. So if you don't have a blanket with you, you can just take the back of your mat and roll it a little bit, and we'll just stand with our heels on that roll. But before we come there, I just kind of want you to feel your feet on the floor. Soften your knees and come into your standing forward fold again to feel that tension. And come on up. And now bring your heels onto your blanket. So the balls of your feet are on the floor and your heels are up. So now we're definitely bringing a little shortness into that line, taking some of the tension out. Bend into your knees and find a chair pose, and just reach your arms overhead any amount. And then straighten your legs, and as you straighten your legs, let your hips hinge back and let yourself fold. We're just going to cycle through those two places. So a chair pose and then a standing forward fold. And you just let your arms kind of swing with you. And go where you can feel like stable and controlled. So you don't have to come into your deepest squat. You don't have to come into your most extreme forward fold. But here you can kind of feel, think of from your eyebrows all the way around. And here we're kind of lengthening and stretching it. Here we're engaging and contracting it. Do one more. Fold and then chair. And then find a place to rest. So maybe that could be a deeper squat and just let your elbows come on to your knees. With that lift behind your heels, this might feel pretty accessible and easy. or it can just be standing with those heels lifted. Just breathe there. And we'll come back to that again. We'll do one more round. So find your standing forward fold and then move into your squat. Reach your arms up. And this time, if you want to be deeper in your squat, deeper in your forward fold, do something that feels friendly for your lower back. Feel the support of that feedback underneath your heels. Moving pretty slowly. And then if you can rest in your squat, rest down in your squat, or just find yourself standing. And just take a minute or two kind of just to recalibrate. Not a whole minute, just a couple breaths. Bring your hands down. If you're in your squat, you can lift your hips. Come all the way, just roll yourself up to standing. And now step off your blanket. And just take a second to stand there with your heels on the ground. Feel your feet. And just notice when any sensations come into your body there. And now we'll play with our feet, just rocking on our feet. So come up into your tippy toes as much as you can. And notice what side of your foot kind of takes the most pressure. And then bring your heels down and just bend into your knees. You can let your knees go past your toes. And you can think about really flexing your feet. You can even think about lifting your toes so you're engaging the front of those heels. The front of your shins. And go between those two. So bending and lifting. And notice how your feet rock here. A lot of bodies have the tendency to pronate as your knees bend, so your knees might knock together. You may rock toward your inner arches, and to supinate as you lift, so maybe you have more pressure in your pinky toes. Just see if that is the case. That's not the right way to do it, but just notice if you're shifting on your feet. And now we'll add our arms. I want you to pay attention. You've kind of turned on those muscles in your lower legs. Feel your feet on the floor and just lift your arms in front of you and then lower them down. And I want you to notice your lower legs, your calves, and those tendons lower. As you lift your arms in front of you, you can imagine you're like holding a beach ball and lower. Do you feel your calves kind of turn on as you lift your arms? It's pretty natural because these muscles are starting to engage on your back, which is engaging that whole back line to bring stability into your body. So now let's lift up onto our toes as you reach your arms forward. You can just keep your arms forward and bend into your knees. And just find a place where you feel a little more stable and notice if this changes how your feet move. And if maybe your feet move a little more symmetrically with the same weight on your inner ball mound and your pinky ball mound. I have got lots of creaks and cracks every time I come on my tippy toes. I've got something popping in there. All right, and that's just kind of a fun experiment. You can move your blanket out of the way, come to the top of your mat, and we'll flow. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward, and just kind of remember that back line of your body as we move. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back into your lunge. Exhale, left knee down. Inhale to reach high. Side bend over to your right. Just drop your right hand alongside that right hip. You can side bend here. And then we'll move into a twist. Left hand outside your right knee. Just reach your right arm back. And then left hand to the floor. Just pour your twist down. Reach high. And then right fingertips to the floor. Framing that right foot and bend and straighten your knee. You can pad if you need your blanket underneath your left knee. Just feel free to pad that. And just see if you can feel the connection of that back line there. And plant your hands, lift that back knee, come into a plank or a table. Feel like you're dragging your hands back and your feet forward. Pull the floor toward you. Come all the way down. Untuck your toes. Lift the back of your heart to come into your cobra. Lower, tuck your toes. Come through table and then downward facing dog. Feel that back line. Come onto your tippy toes. Bring your left knee into your chest. Rock into a plank with that left knee lifted, and then plant your left foot forward, right knee down. Come up to your low lunge here. Side bend over to your left. Just drop that left hand down. And then find your twist. Right hand outside that left knee, left arm back. And then bring your right fingertips to the floor open here. Left hand down. Bend and straighten that left leg. Just a couple of times. Rock yourself forward, plant your hands, lift that back knee, step back into your plank or table. Feel strong, pull the floor toward you. Find your cobra. And exhale your way to downward facing dog. And breathe there. Inhale onto your tippy toes. Exhale, find a bend in your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. And then step your feet about as wide as your mat. Let your toes turn out, heels in. And now feel like you're pulling your heels up toward your bum to come down into a squat. Use your hands as much as you need to. Come down as low as you can. If your heels come up, that's fine. We're bringing our bum to the floor and moving into a boat pose. Use your hands if you need to. Lift your shins. So you're lengthening that back line. And then plant your feet. Plant your hands behind you. Draw your shoulder blades together. Lift your hips into a reverse table. And we'll cycle through those two a couple times. So boat pose, reverse table. And you can play with the placement of your hands here. Last reverse table. Find your boat. And then just bring your left shin to the floor. Plant your right foot. We're going to rock forward into a standing split. And so standing and balancing on that right foot. If you want your blocks, you can have them to frame that right foot. But just rock yourself forward, push into that right foot, and lift your left leg up. Now step your left foot back and find yourself in pyramid pose. So you kind of have your right foot on your right railroad track, left foot on your left railroad track, straighten that right leg, and let yourself bow here. And think of that long back line. You can push into your right big toe ball mound. And then bend into your right knee, come up into a warrior one. Reach high. Open your arms into a cactus. And then straighten your right leg. Give yourself a hug and tuck your chin. So feel that tension through that whole back line. And then contract that back line as you open your heart. You can switch elbows underneath. Just go back and forth there. One more time on each side with each elbow. Open your arms into your cactus, and then you can interlace your fingers behind your back. Draw your shoulder blades together. Lift your hands, and then fold into your humble warrior. You can rest on your right thigh. Open through your shoulders. And then if you have a block, you can bring your left fingertips to your block or left fingertips to the floor. Straighten your right leg, so you can bring your right thumb into your right hip crease and pull that back to straighten that right leg, and then open into a twisted triangle. And kind of bend through your knee. You can swim your arm around and explore your twist here. And move your arm. And then find a place where you can hold for a breath or two. All right, we're going to go over our half hour today. And then release your right arm down. Step your left foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and let your knees be as soft as they need to. Bend into your knees to roll yourself up to standing. And then set yourself up for that low squat malasana again. Take your feet as wide as your mat, heels in, toes out, and squat down as far as you can. Use your blocks, use your hands as much as you need to. You can pause in your squat, and then bring your sitting bones to the floor. Float your shins up, find your boat pose. And then plant your feet, plant your hands, lift. Let's just do this 3 times. Boat to reverse table. Boat into your reverse table. Find your boat pose. And then just bend that right knee, shin in, and then plant into that left foot. Fingertips to blocks or the floor, and come into your standing split. Balancing on that left leg, you're in a forward fold. Reach your right leg up, and then step that right foot back, ground your heel, and find yourself in Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Straight right leg. Hands either on the floor or on blocks. Framing that right foot. And feel the length of that back line. Bend into that left knee and then come up for warrior one. Reach your arms high. And then find your cactus. Straighten your left leg. Tuck your chin. Give yourself a hug. Open and change sides. And then open and change sides. And do that one more time. Open your arms into your cactus. Interlace your fingers the unusual way. Draw elbows together, open your heart, and then fold. You can rest on your thigh or sink down inside of it. Open your shoulders. And then release your right fingertips to a block or the floor inside that left foot. Bring your left thumb into your left hip crease there and pull it back to straighten through that left leg. And then twist open into your twisted triangle pose. And you can explore here, swimming your arm around, bending through that knee, untwisting yourself. And find a place to hold for a breath or two. And then release. Hands down, you can move your blocks out of the way and just step back into a downward facing dog. And a few times just lift high onto your tippy toes and then drop your heels. And just bring your awareness to your eyebrows, those muscles that wrap around your head, to your neck, down your back, down your legs, to the soles of your feet. And then pause in a place that you just want to breathe for 2 or 3 breaths. And then bring your knees down to the floor. Cross your ankles behind you and sit back. Lengthen your right leg and let your left foot come to your right inner thigh. You can find some bend in that right knee and just feel like you're dragging your heel back to let yourself fold. And then come on up. Plant your hands behind you. Lift that left knee, plant your left foot into the floor and come into a one-legged reverse plank. And then come down. And just let yourself cycle through those two. So you'll let your knee come out to the side as you fold forward. Come back, plant your hands, let your fingers point in any direction, plant that left foot, and lift your hips. Let's just do that one more time. Here we're really contracting, activating that whole back line. And then let yourself hold your fold for any amount of time, any depth. But find a place that really feels accessible. And you can think of distributing an even amount of tension along that whole back line. So don't let yourself overly feel this in your lower back. And notice how you might adjust. Moving your foot, finding a bend in your knee, changing the position of your neck. Really let it be an exploration so that you can feel those connections in your own body and just experience them. Take one more full round of breath here. Come on up. And we'll just switch sides. Lengthen your left leg, bend your right knee. Kind of find a bend this first time through. Pulling that left knee back as you reach your heart forward. And then lengthen back, plant your hands, plant your right foot, lift your hips. And cycle through that Janu Shirshasana fold, knee out to the side. And then planting your foot, planting your hands, come into your reverse plank with one leg. Let's do 3 of those. And this time you can hold your fold. And just take it one breath at a time. You can find some softness in the back of your knee. Notice what position for your neck feels. And you may even notice, like, if you nod your head, you might feel it in the bottom of your foot or in the back of your calf. And maybe not. But just see if you can feel those connections and explore. And keep your diaphragmatic breath just smooth. And come on up. Lengthen both legs out in front of you. Scoot yourself to the middle of your mat. And let yourself come all the way down onto your back. One last engagement of that back chain. Bend knees, feet flat on the floor, and come into a bridge pose. And if you really want to, if full wheel is something that you're comfortable with, you can plant your hands and push yourself up into a back bend. Or just find your bridge. Wherever you are, tuck your chin and make your way down. And take your feet wide, knees knocked together. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. And feel your whole body breathe. And then as you're ready, bring your legs straight. Let your arms come out to the side. Try to really ground your heels where they are and point and flex your feet. And just notice how that kind of rocks your whole body. And you can kind of wiggle yourself, really rocking forward and back there. Just kind of scrubbing. Trying to keep those heels grounded on the sticky, but moving your feet will rock your whole body. And then release that effort. Let your palms face up. And this practice is an exploration on how the parts affect the whole. Right? The different parts of your body really affect all the others. Everything works in concert and synergistically. And it's just like you as a member of your family, of your community. You're connected. What you do affects the whole. You can choose what those ripple effects will be. So you can kind of find an inner smile as you breathe here for a couple more breaths. And really soften that whole back line. So think of your forehead soft, your eyebrows relaxed. Let your skin just drape over your scalp. All those connective tissues, muscles that run down your neck and your back, your glutes, the back of your legs and your feet, the bottoms of your feet. Wiggle fingers and toes and stretch your arms overhead. Just see how long you can be. Bend both of your knees, roll to your favorite side. You can pause. And then make your way up to a comfortable seat. And take a second seated to really just check in and feel the aliveness in your body. Notice what really feels awake. And bring your hands to your heart. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Have a great weekend, friends. Namaste.